Hello and welcome to Straight Talk. I'm Melinda Nusafora. Azerbaijan's President Ilham Aliyev has dropped out of talks with Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan. The recent Karabakh crisis and tensions between Baku and Yerevan were to be on the agenda at the European Security Summit in Granada, Spain. Aliyev cited an anti-Azerbaijani atmosphere ahead of the talks for skipping the meeting. Baku also condemned French plans to send weapons to Armenia. The EU brokered peace talks were to be attended by French and German leaders, along with President Aliyev and Prime Minister Pashinyan. But one of Baku's conditions, that Ankara also attend, was rejected by both France and Germany. The scrapped meeting would have been the first time both sides have met since Azerbaijan regained control of the entire Karabakh region last month. Armenia and Azerbaijan fought over the territory back in 2020, which ended in a Russian-brokered ceasefire. Last month, Baku was able to clear the remaining Armenian separatists who agreed to lay down their arms and dissolve their breakaway government. For more analysis on the situation, joining me from Ankara is Yücel Acar. He's a researcher at the think tank SETA. And in Istanbul, Vepi Beysan. He's an associate professor at Ibn Khaldun University. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on Straight Talk. Yücel, let's go to you first. Why do you think France and Germany were so strongly opposed to having Turkey at the table at these talks?
I think when Armenia occupied the Karabakh region of Azerbaijan in early 1990s, it was France who mostly supported Armenia in this action. Actually, it was an illegal action, but still there was a support from France, probably for some Armenian community pressure within France. So it started in this way in early 1990s. Afterwards, during all the process of negotiations about Karabakh region, I think it was France who wanted to dominate the negotiations all the way. Now, at the moment, France taking European Union alongside with itself to still try to control the process. But recently, Turkey was, in a process of recovering Azerbaijani territory from Armenian occupation. It was Turkey really supported significantly to take over the Karabakh region from the Armenian occupation. So I think France and alongside with some other European countries try to exclude Turkey from this process just to keep their control over the region.
Yücel, do you think, though, that France is using perhaps the current political tensions it has with Turkey? Is it using that in this current situation?
Yes, that's quite true. Not only over Karabakh region, over Eastern Mediterranean, over Aegean Sea and many other issues like Cyprus issue, France has been trying to, put a kind of pressure on Turkey to exclude from these, initiatives over Eastern Mediterranean, Aegean Sea, and some other issues. So it was like a part of general French attitude towards Turkey to exclude Turkey from certain issues and regions, including Africa. So I think it's not a surprise that France is doing the same thing over Karabakh issue.
Vepi, do you think that this is a real lost opportunity? Do you see the prospect that this can be revived, or is this a total collapse, do you think, now?
Yeah, thank you, Melinda. Well, I'm an optimistic person, and I believe in permanent solutions wherever possible. Now we witness a new era between Azerbaijan and Armenia, which ended this way. But actually, what's surprising here is that France and Germany opted to exclude Turkey, which actually one of the major players in terms of resolving this issue, and also upon Azerbaijani President request Turkey was joining. It wasn't something like Turkey volunteered by itself only, and it's very hard to understand to see only taking Azerbaijan on the table and Armenia as well. This is very good. We should applause that. But excluding Turkey would be kind of a wrong signal to Azerbaijani administration what they want to achieve in Granada. What, in my personal opinion, it wouldn't really be serving resolving the issue permanently. So I think it was a tactical mistake, a diplomatic mistake, as well as internationally unacceptable behavior. Because if you are there to resolve an issue and help all the sides involved to give them a confidence that this issue can be resolved peacefully, but yet leaving Azerbaijan by itself and just taking two countries in support of Armenia, I don't think Armenians would be happy with that too, because I know personally there are intellectuals in Armenia, they support the idea for a peaceful solution, and nobody wants to see a war or crisis anymore.
Yücel, what do you say to the suggestion? We've heard Aliyev now saying, well, he won't come to the table if France is going to be included in future talks. If Azerbaijan is insisting on having a Turkish presence, why shouldn't Armenia be allowed to insist on a French presence?
I think there are two reasons for Azerbaijan not to attend the peace meeting to be held in Granada yesterday. The first reason was that France is not really acting impartially. He's there, actually, France is there to support Armenia, basically. Not only France, but European Union as a whole is not acting impartially in this issue. So Azerbaijan is really well aware of this fact. And having France without having Turkey in the negotiation process means for Azerbaijan that Azerbaijan is left alone to fight against all other parties, including Armenia, because they are acting together, essentially. So that's why, considering that France is there and Turkey should be there as well to balance the situation. More than this, France is acting so impartially, so supporting so significantly the interests or expectations of Armenia. I think Azerbaijan is quite right not to see France in any process of negotiations towards a peaceful settlement. Peace agreement is very significant at the moment because it's now the main agenda for both countries, Armenia and Azerbaijan, to sign a peace agreement. So otherwise, there will be no peace for a long time.
Let's stay with France. Vehbi, why do you think, rather, France has been so keen to insert itself into this conflict? I mean, we had the mayor of Paris touring the area before this recent conflict. Why?
But it's understandable because you have a large Armenian diaspora or the community living in France. They're quite vocal about their opinion and often very harsh opinion. And I think French administration is playing probably for their votes to gain, but also to show Armenia being their partner. But we would expect France, after this long experience, international experience, to be part of resolving the issue rather than creating or further hardening crisis. So that's what at least the expectation of the people of the region, as well as in Turkey, people would expect that. So you can see that there's very much a political agenda there for the administration to take advantage of the situation. So that actually raises some questions whether France is acting to resolve the issue fully and peacefully and permanently. So I think France should prioritize having their agenda to help the people of the region, both Armenians and Azerbaijanis, so that actually people would live in peace and wouldn't see any more war or clashes between the two countries. I'm sure in the future they will, whenever it is, to establish their ties and diplomatic relations and all that. This is, again, wishful thinking. But I think the countries taking part in this process should act upon for the welfare of the people of the region, not for their personal agenda.
Yücel, Russia brokered the 2020 ceasefire agreement when the countries had the conflict during that period. But Russia isn't being discussed or isn't being included in these latest round of talks. Why do you think Russia has been finding itself sidelined?
I think we shouldn't, first of all, not forget that the issue between Azerbaijan and Armenian is not drawing a boundary. It's a matter of recovering the existing territories of Azerbaijan from the occupation. So it was achieved in 2020 with the Second Karabakh War. That's quite good, but there are some issues left to be settled. According to the peace agreement, according to the ceasefire agreement, Russian troops are actually in the field to observe the Lachin corridor. So they are there for 5 years. So that means Russia is already inside the issue, practically in the field. I think it's not really wise to exclude Russia altogether. Without Russian involvement, I think there would be no chance for any kind of peaceful settlement because they are there. So that's why I think one of the missing parts in this process is Russia. Armenia is trying to be, pulled towards the Western countries. That's quite visible. But I think that's not the healthy way to establish a lasting and strong peace between two countries.
We're almost out of time. I just want to put that to Vepi as well, very, very briefly, if you could. Do you think that Russia has a role to play, seeing as it does have troops on the ground, or is its reputation too tarnished because of the situation with the ongoing conflict in Ukraine?
Well, with Ukraine, of course, you can see that. But Russia is a major player in this issue. Having been excluded, hopefully behind the scene, they have meetings with Russia to see how to sort out this problem. Because excluding Turkey, also excluding Russia, will not help the situation. I think all the countries in the region actively involved in this issue should be there, but because of the special current situation, Russia's reputation and their involvement or the war attacking in Ukraine did not help it much. So that's understandable. But as we try to make a point here, is that Turkey's exclusion is not acceptable because Mr. President Aliyev, he himself stated that this was unacceptable and Turkey should be on the table. So I think that the path should be followed, as again I said, that all the countries should work for the welfare of the people, not to make it any more difficult for them.
Gentlemen, we are out of time, but I appreciate your analysis. Thank you for joining us here on Straight Talk.